Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by BB. There is no second best daily YouTube live stream to talk about markets. I'm Tommy. You guys also know me as Snorlax. I'm joined by Tucker and Big Louie T. We will soon be joined by Jackus as well, but he is cooking up our subscribers a delicious meal right now. So if you are a part of our premium Discord, you get a sneak peek, or you don't get a sneak peek, you get an exclusive with Jackus some mornings like these. But nevertheless, we're going to cook for you guys today. Happy Friday. I hope everybody has had a great week. I'd love to say that this week provided us clarity on whether we would get a move up or down from this pivot, but unfortunately, I want to say we're probably trading right around the exact same prices as Monday morning when we were last year. But nevertheless, guys, we're going to do our best to break down, obviously, where we think these coins are going to continue to go. I do think there is some movement in some of these altcoins that can frame the next few months. I'll talk about what I think that means here. I'll talk about what I think that means here in a little bit. But yeah, I'm seeing some altcoins, curling up, starting to bottom, et cetera, et cetera. I think there are a lot of altcoins in interesting positions, regardless of what majors are going to be doing here over the next week. So as always, we will be discussing that. And of course, we'll probably be discussing equities as well. I know they're flat, but the dollar is coming down. The 10-year is coming down. I think the relationship that we see, actually, before I even say that, I'm going to ask you guys to smash the like button before I get too deep into this intro, because I did want to point that out. But we're always very appreciative when you guys smash that like button for us. And we have not shown you soybeans the last few days. I was watching the like button yesterday, though, and I know that you guys were not pulling your weight. So maybe we get a soybeans appearance later on today's stream. Hit the like so we don't have to do that. But yeah, I did want to talk about the dollar and the 10-year today. We are seeing moves lower on the dollar and the 10-year. I don't think the dollar has to go back up and make a new high. I do still lean that we will probably see the 10-year make another move to the upside. But I think the relationship between the dollar and the 10-year with our coins is especially important, right? Because if you believe that the top is in on both the 10-year and the dollar, you probably are also in the camp that the bottom is in on the coins. And I think that relationship will persist here over the next few weeks until we get FOMC once again in March, where I'm of the opinion personally that either at this next meeting or the meeting after that, we're probably going to start to see rate cuts. So this pressure that we've seen on risk assets, these headwinds that have been present for the last few weeks, will probably only be lasting a few weeks longer. And now it's just kind of a matter of, okay, well, how are the coins going to trade into FOMC? Are they going to go sideways? Are they going to begin grinding higher? I guess we'll find out. But like I said, we will discuss that and more on today's show. And of course, I definitely want to talk about Chinese equities as well, because there has been so much opportunity in those markets here over the last week. I mean, Alibaba's chart speaks for itself. There have been countless other stocks that have also been popping off. And yeah, I mean, there's just I think there was some movement this week, right? I mean, majors for Bitcoin and ETH didn't really move. The S&P is more or less at the exact same price as it was 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. But I do think we are seeing some movement in the charts for probably riskier markets that do look like they are a bit more constructive, at least for trends here in the near term. So let's talk about it, guys. Talk about anything you want, right? We can talk about Bitcoin, ETH, any altcoins that are piquing your interest. I know Jackus is going to want to talk about Chinese equities, as am I. But yeah, what's on your mind today, guys?
I mean, well, Baba, that's an ugly candle it's putting in right now, Tommy. I don't know.
Can you zoom out on this chart?
It's just a little pullback.
Look at this. It
Complex
looks good.
pullback.
It looks good,
Yeah.
We've
I
been
mean, you're
looking
at range.
that.
You're at range highs. I wouldn't be surprised if you see slight rejection, but this looks like a bottom if I've ever seen one. I know a good bottom.
You know what it reminds me a little bit of? That last little curl up. It reminds me a little bit of Sol off the 2023 lows, right before it broke out of its high time frame accumulation pattern.
Sol.
I think there are a lot of charts that are pretty applicable to this curl up that we're seeing in Chinese equities, but I mean they've been deep value for a while. There have been many, yeah, right there, that last curl up before it's sent. There's been a lot of skepticism around Chinese equities and the actual impact that the QE will inevitably have. And we're seeing, there has been weakness in the dollar, just how much these Chinese equities have been able to move, how that stimulus is finally able to positively impact their markets. And I think as you see the dollar continue to come down throughout the course of 2025, you're going to see Chinese equities respond in kind.
Yeah, that might be it. That might be it. Like this little guy. Yeah, it might just go, man. That's
what are the implications of Chinese stocks entering into a bull market phase for like our markets?
I mean, they're probably going to pump off the back of China printing. So if we have China printing, that would be good.
What happens if you get a lot of wealth in China created through the equity market that is going to want to potentially leave China or find somewhere else to reallocate? I wonder.
Yeah. So when did, like, this is Alibaba, I think this is a good signal for Chinese stocks. When did like Alibaba start running, let's say like last cycle? Like when did it break out from that reaccumulation range from 2017 to 2020?
Well, we had a subscriber point out that he highlighted when Trump took office in 2017 versus when Trump took office or when he left office in 2021. And I mean, you can put it on the chart. It was basically like an up-only bull market for Chinese equities until he left off. It's kind of ironic, right? Because much has been made about kind of the relationship that Trump has with China. It's been, at least if you're reading about it, if you're listening, it's largely adversarial. But empirically, our only evidence that we have is that the last time he was in office, there was a full-blown bull market for Chinese equities. And I'm not saying these two things are correlated, but to quote Wabi, history doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes.
Yeah, when he was in office, Baba pumped 4x.
Which is actually crazy, because if you're like just looking at it from a broad sense with all the tariff talk, right? It's like, oh no, tariffs, like Chinese companies probably would have hurt from that. But instead you see Chinese stocks pumping into tariff news. So like, is it like, what's the legitimacy behind these tariffs? I think people are way overestimating and being fearful on these things, where the market's telling you that it's not really too concerned about it.
Well, we always said the tariffs were more of a bargaining chip.
Yeah.
Right? And I think around the inauguration, we were looking for the dollar to be topping. And I think this is probably where we can pivot to talking about the dollar and the 10-year, because as unexciting as it is to talk about the dollar and the 10-year yields, they are incredibly important for risk, especially given where risk is sitting. Looking at you, crypto. We were looking for the dollar to top around the inauguration. It definitely looks like it might have topped already. I'm skeptical that the 10-year has topped. I could definitely see the top being in on the dollar. But I think that correlation, right? If you see either the 10-year or the dollar go higher, it probably means that we did get one more leg down in crypto assets. And if they don't go higher, that's probably the bottom for things like ETH, for things like SOL, for most of these risk assets that obviously took a big hit on that last push up from the dollar over the last few weeks.
I mean, dude, that looks bad. That looks. Let's flip it.
It's distributive, 100% distributive.
Okay, I mean, if it's gonna,
it already kind of bounced from this level.
Yeah.
And yes, I think we can maybe see a little bounce, but I think we already saw that key rejection or that key complacent shoulder bounce on that CPI. Hard rejection on volume. Something I was talking about in the Discord, I was like, we nailed the top in the Discord on the DXY. And then I was like, well, expect a bounce, right? Because we haven't really, and then we bounce on that report. And I mean, look at that harsh rejection, that all wick. That's Yeah, and if you pull up volume,
that was
high
nasty.
volume rejection. I think that was like, okay, that's what told me like, okay, this is the top, right? This is the macro top. And kind of the last piece I'm looking forward to the puzzle for confirmation of that is, getting a clear couple closes below 106.75, which we are right now, but we need to get a couple, let's say a weekly close, let's see, a handful of daily closes. We get a couple of those below 106.75, and I think that's the final domino to fall for confirmation that the DXY has macro topped, at least for the next couple months minimum, and which would bode well for risk assets, right? And just how Tommy just talked about Alibaba and how when Trump came into office, what happened. If you look at the DXY when Trump got in office back in 2016, we saw a similar move. And that's kind of what gave me the clues and ideas to be looking for a top on the DXY here. Tucker, if you could show 2016, 2017, you'll see a similar move to what we're seeing now, right? No, the other one. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. It's almost an identical move where you have a multi-year long range. You break the highs. Everyone gets bowled up on the dollar because Trump was talking about tariffs. Everyone's talking about tariff inflation. We were calling for a possible top, or this is a trap, because I just looked to the left of the chart farther than most would. And we're seeing an almost an identical move where that was just a massive bull trap for the DXY. Once you get back inside that range, likely heading back to range lows at a minimum. And we know what happened last time when the DXY did that, 2016, 2017. We went on a massive, year long, alt mania. So we'll see. But, like the Wabi quote, history's rhyming.
If it is going to play out like what you just pointed out, Louis, then we should be getting a bounce on the dollar here probably in the next week for a complacency shoulder, which should put the top end. But I think whether the dollar, the 10-year, whether they go higher is irrelevant from a time standpoint. Like, it matters for the pricing of risk assets, but from the standpoint of when we look back probably 3 or 4 months down the line, I think we all recognize this is probably the area and the time where we're going to be seeing these proxies top. And just in the same way, should be the bottom for these risk asset charts. You would think, but it's such like an interesting dichotomy in crypto, right? Because you have risk assets that are down bad, some of them down horrendously. And at the same time, you have the NASDAQ once again flirting with price discovery in equity markets.
Yep.
It's just been such an interesting like push-pull between those two things, with obviously mostly equities pushing. But yeah, no, I mean, I think the 2025 outlook for risk assets is absolutely positive given what we've just outlined.
Yeah, I think, I mean, we pointed out yesterday, right, how others is looking slightly different than it did back in 2017. Bitcoin looking pretty similar though, right? And if we want to take that comparison and just put, the dollar top on there, like what's on the screen, like, I mean, yeah, you could see a little bounce, but like, here, let me just zoom in real quick. So, because it's kind of happening faster, I think, this time. Let me, like this. Like, could you not argue that we've already put in this shoulder? Like, let's put this like here. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I would argue yes. I'm viewing that high wick rejection right there as the complacent shoulder. Can we put in one on the higher time frame? Yeah, maybe. Like, you don't really see that on the weekly chart. Daily chart, it's very clear. So yeah, can we see one? Of course, right? But if we get, like, let's say we get a couple closes around this level, I don't think we're gonna get it, right? Maybe an underside retest of 106.75, but
oh my God, 11% would be 95, dude. That's crazy.
God, Baba is gonna like double then.
Yeah.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna throw that sold price action on it right now and see what it looks like. Overlaying fractals that fit your bias is always more fun than having to do the opposite.
You must.
I do think the 10-year looks a little bit better than dollar, but that's not really saying much either.
Looks a
The
little
10-year
better.
did have a stronger bounce coming out of that CPI, but harsh rejection again. Just this thing is cooked, man. This is that was the completion shoulder on the 10-year I was looking for. That move we got a couple of days ago on the hot CPI.
I still think we get 5% on the 10-year.
Oh,
What was that?
Hype.
Uh-oh.
Hype ripping face. Yeah, I think, compared to this low, right, the dollar definitely looks worse than the 10-year. You think we get 5%, Tommy?
Yeah.
Oh my God, bro.
In my opinion, if we were going to get 5%, I don't think we would have deviated the high that I mean, if you zoom out a little bit, Tuck, you could see that we deviated a key level.
Yeah, this one.
Which is right there. Yeah. So that deviation, like if we didn't deviate and we started like holding around that level, I would agree with you. But the way that we deviated that level, got back inside and had been practically almost straight down since then, especially after the rejection we saw yesterday. I don't think we're getting there. I think that it would have had a chance if it stayed above that high. But harsh deviation, harsh rejection yesterday on a hot CPI. I just don't see it. But I mean, anything's possible, right? I'm not an expert at charting these things, even though I've been doing quite well. But you never really know. I know there's a lot more at play when it comes to, bond yields and stuff like that. I'm just looking at as pure price action, but
I could see it pull back to something like 4.2 before going higher, but I do think that 5% is probably like when we put it in, because I will say, like, I agree. I think we're topping, and the structure on it clearly looks distributive to me. It's the type of structure that I think when it tops, you're going to see a lot of rate cuts come in, and in a short period of time, more than likely. And I think the technicals aren't just saying that. I think literally the president is communicating that as well, even if he has to clash with Jerome Powell at some point here over the next few months. I think the 10-year will be coming down substantially this year, but I still think that that 5% is in play, unfortunately. But I'm very encouraged by the move that we've seen on the dollar this week. I think it's a huge positive. I can only view it as a huge positive, right, for risk assets. And you're already seeing, like we already pointed out, the impact that that's going to have on global liquidity and most specifically Chinese equities. But let's talk about the coins.
Let's talk about the coins. I was going to check in on equities. Are they just up only?
We can talk about equities too. I mean, they're kind of just like flat, more or less.
S&P flirting with price discovery. NASDAQ pushing all-time highs.
Yeah.
And this is the stuff that I was looking at. And like when you have, I don't know, like crypto, we're still a small asset class relative to markets, right? So we're going to sway back and forth way harder, faster, more vicious than, let's say an equity market will. And when we were getting that big move, that big dump we saw on altcoins and ETH across the board, and I got home, I was away on vacation for that, obviously. When I got home and I'm looking at it, I'm looking at equity, looking at the S&P, looking at the NASDAQ, I'm like, they're still just consolidating right under all-time highs, right? Like that told me that like things are still okay. Like the markets are still healthy. And I kept telling the Discord that what we saw was a very much isolated event, focused on ETH and altcoins, right? And in my opinion, it was massive, big buyers coming in to scoop up ETH on the cheap. And I think that's exactly what we saw. And that was giving me more optimism and hope. If we saw the S&P starting, trending back to range lows of this multi-month consolidation we were doing, I'd be a little more concerned. But the fact that we were literally chopping right under the old all-time high, the DXY looked toppy, 10 years looked toppy. Those were the real signals to watch, not just the naked price action of crypto, which can be easily skewed one way or the other due to like a cascading liquidation event like we saw, which was the biggest in history for crypto. So those were the signs that kept me optimistic and, for these markets to see a recovery. And I think that's starting to play. Whether it comes from here or not still remains to be seen. I still do think we see a move up to 3K for ETH. And then we see what happens. Fill that gap on ETH. And then what we do up there will be the most telling information, right? If we move up there and we start to see a harsh rejection back to the downside, that's a little scary, right? But if we start to fill that gap, hit 3K, start to reclaim our daily range, price acceptance back above 2,900, 3K, I think we have some promising price action back to the upside. But until we get there, we're kind of in no man's land. So we'll see. We'll see.
I agree. I agree. I think that level for ETH will tell all. I'm assuming it's not literally just going to trapdoor from these current prices, and that we probably will retest 3K Bitcoin into like 105, 106. Obviously, we'll see where those other alts or where other alts are potentially trading. I'm going to keep saying I think one of the proxies that will really tell us what this market is going to do next will probably be Hyperliquid, right? That chart is it's flirting with potentially another leg higher. If it does, what does it look like, right? Because if we're making new highs on Hyperliquid, does that signal? I don't think that's going to like inherently signal alt season, but at the very least, if you have the strongest asset throughout the downside breaking out into new highs, I would have to view that as a positive for the altcoin market in general.
So techie guy goes, next century will be telling.
Next century will be telling. Well, this week couldn't provide us the clarity that we so desperately wanted, unfortunately. I don't think that we are quite at the point where volatility is just going to completely die out, though. Not yet. But I think we're close. And I think that's a positive. I think that's a big positive for markets, especially for altcoins when that does occur. Maybe it's already occurring right now. I'm sure some people probably would argue that it has.
What would we need for that to happen?
I mean, just majors going, I think, kind of flatlining, more or less. Like we're kind of seeing that this week. I'm not totally convinced that volatility is about to die, but we always know when volatility in crypto is dead because altcoins aren't giving us these huge swings in both directions. But there are a few altcoins that I think are finding bottoms. I don't know if they are literally bottomed, but I think that they're entering areas where you should start to see them reaccumulate. Popcat being one of them. It's been a while since we talked about little old Popcat on this show in a way that wasn't, making fun of the coin, but I actually kind of like. I mean, we kind of saw this set up on Baba, for example. Like this is in theory where Popcat should probably start to reconsolidate. If you draw a value area range, especially on the Solana, like the radium chart that is for Popcat, we're basically at value area low. I think going sideways here for Popcat is the most positive thing that it could do, right? We don't want to see like this huge 80% complacency bounce on Popcat. I want to see volatility die out and it start to range here because then I think you can set the base for cyclically your next leg higher. So I'm keeping my eye on Popcat. Honestly, guys, I like this one.
Yeah.
Did they get a Coinbase listing?
I think they're about to.
Well, the same way a Coinbase listing when something's like going up is kind of has a negative effect. I think something like this, like a PopCat being listed when it's kind of been down only, I think is actually a good sign, so.
I think so. I mean,
I would agree with you.
PopCat is down bad, man. It is like
it can't go much lower, Well,
it's pretty rare that you see I wouldn't call it a large cap, right? But like a mid cap that just goes down by 80 or 90% within basically 6 weeks. Kind of insane.
Yeah, that's crazy. It went from $2 billion to 165 mil in a quick period of time.
So Binance pumped it, and now Coinbase is going to run it back.
I have a diabolical fractal on this chart, but if I shared where I pulled it from, I think people would accuse me of being like simple Jack.
It's like an equity chart.
Yes, when I am crafting these fractals, man, I either feel like a mad scientist or I feel like literally the biggest idiot in the world. I'll tell you guys after the show, but I will say, in a more like measured take, I think, like I said, I think this looks a lot like what you're seeing on Baba and some of these Chinese equities, which, given my theory that that PopCat is very much a CZ manipulated coin, I think that's kind of fitting, don't you think?
Yeah.
What does PopCat open interest look like? I remember it was so weird because the OI on PopCat pretty much just went like up only the whole time. Let me see.
Yeah, pull it up.
I think we should also look at Trump coin as well.
Definitely should look at Trump coin.
That's putting in a nice move today.
Oh my God, the PopCat OI has not budged. Really? It's so weird.
Yeah, this thing was pummeled. This thing got absolutely pummeled. But, looking at this, like, this is kind of your textbook, like, successful launch token kind of roadmap where it launches super successful off the launch, so successful, like it just goes straight up, right? You don't have any sort of consolidation. Everyone gets super excited. Everyone piles in. Your mom, your dad, your grandpa all asking about it. And then it dies. And then it does a slow bleed. Everyone gives up on it. Everyone calls it out for account. Everyone calls it dead. Puts in a nice base, and then it comes back from the dead. It comes back with vengeance, right? And that's your typical like meme coin or even any altcoin launch, right? That's successful. And I would compare it to something like Pepe did, in 2023. Pepe had a massive like pump off its launch, right? Super successful. And then it went into like a multi-month little bear market. And no one wanted to talk about it anymore. And that was the time to buy it after all the FOMO was rinsed, right? So that's when you want to buy these things, right? Yeah, look at it. So like hopefully we don't do that.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're in a timing of the cycle where this happens quicker, right? Because that was during a bear market. Where I think now we're the timing where we are going to be heading into a bull market. So these things happen quicker, but you never know. It could happen, but this is kind of that roadmap.
Well, I could see it just because I kind of still feel like even if the 10-year and the dollar are going to be materially dropping over the next few weeks, altcoins will still, generally speaking, be chopping. Like they could be chopping up. But I think like the easy move more or less on altcoins has probably been like completed off the lows. And now it's going to be more of like a slow grind into resistance, which I mean, maybe something like this, like Trump, for example, went down how much from the highs? Like 75%. That's a pretty big amount. So that's typically like, I have a friend who's he's a good shit coiner, but he talks about how when a meme coin drops, like, I forgot what the threshold was. I think it was like 70%. But usually when it drops 70% or more, the parabola is officially broken. And usually you get some sort of bounce that retraces like 40 or 50% of that, that you sell into when the parabola is broken. And then it starts to reaccumulate. I think we're in the reaccumulation phase. I don't quite know what it's going to look like, but it is one that I could see looking like Pepe. It is one that I could see returning to higher prices, though, sooner or later as well. If majors catch a bid, like a big bid from here, if ETH even goes to 3K, I think you could get a pretty nice rotation on Trump just from a trading standpoint.
What was the market cap at the peak?
FDV or circulating?
Circulating.
Because I think
someone actually commented on Twitter about a supply unlock as well. Is that like, does Trump have supply unlock scheduled into it?
That's he had it locked for 3 months, I believe. So that wouldn't unlock till April.
All right, so we got till April.
They'll pump it into April.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But
sorry, what was the market cap though? I missed
Say that again.
It was
what was
70, well, FDV was 77 billion, but
Jesus,
it would have been a fifth of that. So I don't know, what, 15, 16?
Oh, okay.
Roughly.
Damn.
It's sitting at what, 4 bill right now? Yeah, 4.2.
I've been watching to see if Trump would play out something kind of like what Sui did when it first launched. I think it would play out much more quickly than what Sui did. So that's kind of the part where I'm a little bit skeptical, but like more or less that kind of pattern. I think
that's the roadmap.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I'm approaching it as a trader. If we get kind of that consolidation that Sui had and the very end of 2024 above the lows, that slow grind up, I think for me, like I'm punting. I'm looking for a big move on Trump if that's the case.
Yeah. And that this is why I know what to look for, because Sui was another one that I was buying at these levels when it did this, right? Sui had a successful launch. I knew about it, watched it, but was like, okay, like I'll wait for things to cool off, right? Like I want to start buying things when no one's talking about it, right? So massive launch, everyone was talking about Sui, next best thing, blah, 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 blah. Bleeds 60 to 70% to the downside. Starts to round out, starts to put in that base. No one wants to talk about Sui. Sui's dead. Shit project, right? Okay, now it's time to look for entries. It really is, when you dial it down, it's kind of that simple. And to catch these new tokens, that's when you want to come in and buy them. So, and I played this, but I obviously ended up round tripping Sui because it dropped again, almost to the lows. But before obviously going up eventually. But this is what to look for.
Yeah, I mean, we had the slow bleed into the lows, right? We had like this.
You start to see bull divs print. That's what caught my eye. It's kind of, you're getting like that 3 drive pattern, but to the downside, not to the upside,
Yeah, let's see.
I remember buying shit coins on Sui back during that first pump, thinking I found the official mascot of Sui. The market never found it. Or if they did, I don't think it went above like 10 million market cap. It was barren in those trenches.
I mean, it could be. I guess it could be here.
This is what I'm looking for to play.
Yeah. This is it. Put this like in an altcoin textbook. I kind of want to make a book, honestly, at some point. Just put this fractal.
You can get the book from CoinGecko for the candies. It's a bull market when you're collecting the CoinGecko candy every day.
So if we just do this, that's
we're cooking.
Like this would be your div.
And again, like that time period you have highlighted on Sui, that's an extremely frustrating time. Like it doesn't look like it. It looks like, oh, it's just slowly grinding higher. But like when you're trying to accumulate something and it just like chop, 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 but it's bull chop, right? It's extremely frustrating. And people will start to look at it like Trump's popping right now, right? Everyone's looking at it. But if you start going to a bull chop like that, people will forget again because like, it's down, then it's up, then it's down, too much, probably going back to the downside. And then ultimately these bull chops do break to the upside sometimes. So
do you know who else is getting chopped up right now, Louis? People trying to long the breakout on the like button. Guys,
I'm giving free alpha here.
I do not want us to look at soybeans on a Friday, on a day where the markets are green. Please hit the like button. You guys are seriously slacking right now. And we haven't shown soybeans all week. We haven't bugged you about hitting the like button in multiple weeks, but we would be very, very appreciative if you guys hit the like button because it helps us grow our channel and ultimately get in front of more eyes. So if you guys can do the needful, just hit that like button. It takes very little effort. Like I said, it goes a very long way for our channel. We would be very appreciative. I think some people miss the soybean chart, but we'll spare you guys because it's Friday. But please still hit the like button. If I check back though in like 15 minutes and the like button is not materially higher, I cannot guarantee that you will be spared from the soybeans. But consider this a fair warning. I think we should look at some other cat coins. I know I'm a little bit biased there, but if PopCat's finally bottoming out, I think they could be worth looking at.
Hang on, Louis. Do you have an XRP chart? Somebody asked for that. Oh, he's doing something right now. Hold on.
Okay, I will say something interesting about XRP that I think is worth discussing is it seems like, I don't know if it's going to have any impact on the price of XRP, but I do know it seems like the people who Trump was looking at to form kind of like that consulting body for the government around crypto, like he's completely going to be reworking the people around that. From what it seems like to me, from just like kind of reading the tea leaves, there's a little too much tribalism among the people that are currently kind of in the administration's ear. And so it's going to be totally reworked. And so I don't think someone like Brad Garlinghouse is going to be on that kind of council anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to have like any real impact on XRP's price, but I do think that it's worth pointing out. And I think Hoskinson was on that that short list as well.
Louis, what do you think about XRP?
Obviously we're at resistance. Red pandas. What's up, my red pandas?
We love red pandas, man.
I do like red pandas. Pretty much ends the debate between the dog and the cat coin, right? It's just like a dog cat hybrid. It's a red fox. So this is what I was watching on XRP, and I took a long on XRP in this area right before CPI. Obviously, it was a little volatile, so I wasn't able to hold on to that trade. But I want to show you guys what I was looking at and comparing this to, because this was another time where I took a long on something and it worked out. And I was looking at the XRP price action, and from a naked view, this looks pretty bearish, right? Like you created a range, you broke out of that range, and then you dropped back inside the range, right? That normally that would not be a good sign. But I remember just from, again, just time in the market, screen time, remembering instances where similar things happened and recalling those, was this move on ETH, right? Back in early 2024, right before ETH went from 2K to 4K. So that's literally, it doubled in price, probably the most bullish it was in the last 3 years. And this was something I longed, which was, right, you had ETH putting in a nice range, right? Putting in a nice range, breaking out of that range, slow bleed, slow bleed, slow bleed, drop, trapdoor, right? But we never broke down past the order block here. That basically the origin of what sent ETH on the breakout, right? This is the origin order block. And once price revisited this order block, it never broke down, right? When we were here, so many people I remember were calling for, okay, we're coming here, right? We're coming at least here because we broke down. But we never lost the order block. And bears just weren't able to get to push price back below this order block. And, sellers basically ran out of juice. And then because of that, price slowly just drifted higher and eventually going on a parabolic run from 2K to 4K. I mean, like, look at the run we went on, right? And now when you look at XRP, what it's doing now, I mean, I would argue is very similar, right? It looks almost exactly the same, where you had a nice big range form on top of a major support. You broke out, slow bleed, trapdoor. The only difference is you had a big wick here on XRP, right? And I would argue that with crypto, with these liquidation events, with leverage trading and stuff like that, price will swing farther than it should, but the candle body will tell you the truth, right? Not the wick. The wicks will be there, but the candle body will tell the truth, which pretty much held where this order block was. And what I was looking at was this here. And I was like, price is just refusing to drop, right? Like, bears had multiple chances to push price back below this order block, send it back to the wick low, which probably most were expecting, and then wait for some sort of reaction. And when I see price failing to fall, right, my only belief is that, okay, if it's unable to be pushed down, like, this thing's going to drift back to the upside. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing. So granted, we're at a major level here. So whether it rejects or not, I don't know. In this instance on ETH, you saw a little resistance, you got back above, and then you sent. So what I would say is watch how you react at this level, right? If you get back above here, right, which is like around 270, and you get price acceptance above here, and it fails to break back inside, chances are you're going to continue to push back to the upside, and we continue this longer term trend for XRP. If XRP starts to reject, right, and you don't see another attempt or can't get back above this level, expect XRP to come back, fill some of this wick, and then maybe try again. So we're basically at that decision point. So how I would play it is I'd watch it on the lower time frame, right, and see how it react in this area, right? Price acceptance above, worth a punt on a long, right? Unable to get above, and you start to see high wick rejections at this level, maybe wait for lower, or maybe even try a short, right? I'm leaning on the bullish side. I think this fractal is going to play almost identically, just how everything else I'm seeing in the market. So I'm obviously super spot long XRP, and I'm comfy in that position here, and I haven't done anything just yet, and I'm looking for higher prices. I think we see at least a minimum $5 for XRP, in my opinion. So we'll see.
I like the comparison for XRP.
Yeah,
I haven't been trading this coin quite as closely, but no, I hadn't noticed the similarities between XRP and ETH back in December of last year. I want to say XRP formed structure very similar to that in like January of 2024 as well. Because I remember I was playing for XRP to catch up then as well. It didn't play out quite as much, but I think contextually this feels a lot more similar than yeah, I think we actually nuked from that spot. But I think contextually where XRP is sitting right now feels a bit more like where ETH was last December, even though, they're not technically in the exact same places structurally speaking, but XRP was in its accumulation range, whereas ETH had already broken out.
Yeah, this is the exact area of the fractal that I was showing. Yeah, this area. Yep. I remember this move, right? Like ETH. Oh my God. It's like, I mean, really, when you look at this, ETH was breaking out, finally had broken out of its bear market low, right? Right. This is your bear market low, multi-year base, right? Spent years accumulating down here. We finally got above, right? And we just started chopping up here. This was like, oh my God, it's it. This is the move, right? Like, holy shit, ETH's breaking out finally. We've waited so long. And then you just get a decimating rejection and sell. And this is where most people gave up, right? And then slowly but surely, bang, 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 CF 4K, easy double, right? And that can happen, right? So the market will play tricks on you. Market will play tricks on you. Wow. Okay. Let's look at this real quick because I just noticed this, and the emotions are the same. How do you guys feel about this? Well, let's go to a different chart here. Drawn on this chart. Good. Okay. So this little area I just showed you, right? This range, break up, break down, and go. Are we seeing this here?
I don't know.
It's not as similar, right? But similar concept, right? To here. And the emotions are the same. Oh my God, we're breaking out. We're about to go into price discovery. ETH, nope. But okay, are we going to break the order block and lose structure? Nope. Okay, we might just slowly drift up. Similar to here. Just in a lot larger scale. Just pure speculation, but just stuff I'm noticing. This is how my brain works when I look at the charts, but kind of similar.
How my brain works as well, Louis.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I just recognized that price action from the 1965 Dow Jones chart.
So, yeah. All the emotions are the same.
Can you zoom in on that previous price action? Yeah.
You want like lower time frame?
I mean, that looks pretty good, right? Like that would go back. Yeah. Yeah, that would imply us kind of making an attempt at 3-ish K from here.
Rejecting,
and then kind of grinding higher.
Yeah. Which is something I really am expecting. So let's look at ETH where we are now, right? That's probably the best for people, right, to help them out here. So let's zoom in. Let's go super speculative. Let's go super low time frame. Where the hell am I right now? There we go. Okay. So this is kind of what I'm expecting for ETH here. So this white box is your range low, right? This is like 2,800 to 3K. This is your decision time, right? Like this next move will be telling, right? This is where we find out what's going to happen, in my opinion. So right now, ETH is looking to break its local downtrend, right? Tons of stacked highs highlighted here. Bang, 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 bang. Juicy stop hunt for shorts down here. So if we do start to break this, I think we see a swift move back up to 3K. But what happens at 3K gives us the real information. Are we going to get to 3K? Yeah, maybe we see a slight rejection, but hold this general area and start to drift higher. Price acceptance above 3K. There's your confirmation. If you're waiting for some sort of confirmation before getting back into the markets, this is your confirmation. Okay, ETH hit 3K, slight rejection. Obviously, it's a major supply. You should expect a rejection there if we see a quick move to the upside from here. But do we remain above this area? Do we remain in this area, gain price acceptance, and then start to form higher lows? Wait for a confirmation. Something like that would be a confirmation. Get back in the market because ETH just entered back into its multi-year range, right? Or is ETH going to come up here, get to this level, and then we just see a harsh rejection, right? And then it's like, okay, bearish underside retest. Something's not right here. And if we start losing this level, right, we come down here and we start to lose this area where we're trading in now, I think ETH's in trouble. Cut our losses. We have to rethink our whole scenario that we've been playing off of the last year and a half, 2 years, right? So that's kind of the scenario I'm looking at it as. Obviously, I'm leaning towards the first because I'm an optimistic bull, and that would help my bags the most, right? And that's what history kind of tells us. But you have to kind of wait and see what the market gives you, and at these key levels, which I think is this area right here. So, yeah, I think we could see something like that as well. What happens when we get there, I don't know, but it'll give us the information. It'll be very telling,
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how I'm looking at ETH.
We just put in some nice low time frame candles off of news that Abu Dhabi has been buying Bitcoin.
Really?
So
I also just saw the state of Wisconsin owns $300-something million worth of like IBIT. And you're bearish on? States are buying up Bitcoin. US setting up a reserve to probably start buying Bitcoin. Other countries, Czech is already doing it. I think it got approved, right? To start buying Bitcoin as a reserve. And Bitcoin's just first on the menu. ETH will be next. But yeah, nice little pop here. And I guess we can go into Bitcoin here, what I'm kind of looking at. Wait, what are the likes at first?
I don't know. Let's see.
Check the likes for me. I'm just going right to soybeans because I know it's going to be bad. Because I'm not giving away free alpha if that's likes are trash.
159, Louis.
Oh my God, guys. How many viewers?
It's 295.
295.
It is a Friday.
It is a Friday. And honestly, the viewership it is a bit of an indicator.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit of an indicator. When people aren't watching and they're done watching us talk about crypto, usually a bottom signal. When those numbers get high, when we're pushing 700, 800, 900 people, things might be a little frothy. So the people that are here, please go hit the like button. I'll give you guys 200. I'll keep it super easy. Not much to do there, but I got to get something. I can't just keep giving. I'm not the giving tree.
All right, I'll keep you updated. Hold on.
Have you been reading that for your kid, Louis?
Yep.
I figured something put it in your mind.
Yeah.
That's a great book.
Growing up. Yeah.
Great lesson.
Wait, have you ever seen the picture of the author of that book, which I don't remember as a kid? It's freakish.
No, is he like freaky looking?
Oh my God, it's freakish.
Who wrote that book?
Should I go grab it and show you? I'll be right back. Get us to 200.
Oh boy.
200. That's a tall
shelf. Silverstein, I knew that.
Oh yeah.
He does know a
we're
little bit.
182. 183.
All right. This is the children's book, guys.
They could always hit the like button. Maybe we just need to start throwing up soybeans.
Hold on. I got to turn off my virtual background. I'm in my room right now because I don't have my office set up, so don't judge me. But okay, this is a children's book, right? The Giving Tree, a classic book. You want to see on the back of this book looks like?
Mm-hmm. No.
This is me.
This is me.
Freakish. Right? Like, what is that?
I know.
Crazy. Like, imagine just being a little kid reading this book and you turn it over. It's like, oh.
189.
All right, almost there.
Oh, we lost Louis. There he is.
Yeah.
Louis, it looks like you need to get yourself some back support for the show.
Look at this comment.
I'm sitting.
Oh my
I'm
God.
sitting. I'm sitting on a stool. I ordered a desk. I ordered a computer chair. And I'm gonna be setting up a nice office in my garage. So excited for that. Excited for that.
Feels
Let's
good
see.
to have the inner sanctum of an office.
Yeah.
195.
195. You got 5 more. Lewis was a terrorist. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, Daniel Oberlander made a good point where he just said GME got a 20% pop on a BTC crypto announcement. Every company will follow. And I would probably agree with that in one way or the other, right? Like whether they actually do it or not, the announcement, right? The bullishness, the speculation. States are doing it. We just talked about it.
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
at least on the 6 hour.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, this looks distributive. Look at the daily.
Wow.
The real alt season was just shorting soybeans.
Yeah.
196.
Come on, guys. 4 more likes.
I think we
Send
lost
the soy
there.
down, in my opinion.
Lewis in his garage with books knowledge.
All right, we're losing legs now. We're at 195. We're going the wrong way.
I think that's good.
All right.
All right, fine.
Get it off soybeans.
Okay. Don't think you guys are going to get away with holding me hostage too much. Okay. But I'll allow it. All right. So here's Bitcoin, guys. Semi-lower time frame, not high time frame, not low time frame. This is a 6 hour chart. And this is kind of how I'm looking at it, right? Ranging, right? Multiple deviations of the low, couple deviations of the high. We've just been dealing with a local downtrend after, deviating range of lows once again and wicking to the downside. So this is what I've been looking for, is either A, we start to break this downtrend, we start to climb back to the upside, reclaim mid-range around 99.5. I think that gives us juice to head back to the upside to at least range highs, right? Tons of stacked highs, right? Tons of stacked highs. I guarantee you there's lots of short liquidity stacked to the upside. And that'll also give us some juice to a pretty swift move back to the upside. And it seems to me like as if we're curling up here, right? Like bears have had multiple chances to bring price back to range lows, to at least fill some wick, right? With some candle bodies, come back, revisit range lows, fill this inefficiency down here, and then look for a reversal, which I think a lot of people are waiting for, right? Especially on CT. But we are in no man's land. But from what I'm looking at right now, like we're starting to curl, right? This is starting to curl out. Like we're kind of flatlining. We're not making lower lows. We're starting to curl out, making a little basing pattern. We're working on breaking this downtrend, and this looks like we could possibly see a move back to the upside. I think we're gonna move to the upside, guys. At least from here. Whatever happens after that, it will give us the right information. But I think we start to run these highs, and then whether we hold on to those gains or not is going to give us the real information that we need. But I think 99.5 is very important to get back.
What the structure is starting to remind me of a little bit is the post ETF market structure for Bitcoin.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Where would we be within that, Tommy?
Right after the.
I want to see it because I was just thinking about it. Just like this grind that we've had this week just kind of feels like not quite the low, but the one of the two consolidations preceding it. So I wonder if we do get that step below the range, and then that's just like a slam dunk long on Bitcoin potentially. I guess we'll see. But like the behavior of the way Bitcoin's traded all week, where it's just been so choppy and awful to trade, kind of reminds me a little bit of that like bleed that we had in that range. I don't know if it's quite the same, but I'm being increasingly reminded of that price action.
You want to pull it up?
I don't have anything on it. I mean, I just kind of noticed that just now.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Like lower low, lower low, lower low, lower low, lower low, even low, even low, even low, even low, higher low, right? Like this is what base, like this is how bottoms are formed, right? The trend is clearly shifting, right? There was a clear downtrend, constant lower low, lower low, lower low, and then you start basing, right? We're starting to base, right? They tried to push us below, back above, bang.
Some might say
Higher
based,
low,
based.
higher low. And like all these highs are sitting here waiting for the taken, like just stacked highs, stacked highs. Just start running them one by one, right? Squeeze. It's a recipe for a short squeeze, and it's coming from the middle of nowhere, which also catches people off guard because people are either waiting for range lows to come back down here, or they're waiting for like something like this, right, and short that back down. So in the middle of nowhere, not very actionable. Anyone trying to trade this in here has been chopped up already.
100%.
So it could catch a lot of people off guard.
I think if
love.
this wants to squeeze higher, I'd be looking at a reaction probably near like 104, personally. 102, 104. Because that was, I mean, that supply that we had, right, that kind of came in during the inauguration, it has continued to cap price. I think that's like, contextually speaking, the most important price action on the entire Bitcoin chart right now. Right? I mean, we had all of that chop. We had a ton of longs enter. We had a lot of options players get long there to try and catch the breakout. It's not a coincidence that that level has continued to cap price, but I think if you squeeze back into it, if you reclaim it, I mean, obviously Bitcoin's going higher, but I think, you know, for me, that's my level of interest for Bitcoin if we get up there. But like in this range right here, I'm not trading Bitcoin, man. I mean, it's chopping everybody to death. It's really the way that Bitcoin's traded since the start of 2023 is just total leverage trader death. Which is a feature, not a bug. But
this move, man. Keep going, baby. Yeah, this is textbook. Beautiful.
Damn, I did not see those divs.
Yeah.
That's nice.
This is where we got to see what happens. This is where you can see a rejection, right? And then you start to form a base. Or if things are really about to send, you know, you flip it. Something like that. Just all depends on what the overall market does. But Trump coin kind of leading the market today. Kind of leading the market.
Not surprising, I think.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those coins where you kind of figured, well, if the market's going to bounce, it's probably going to be one of the first off the lows. It's just we've seen this behavior with Solana meme coins where they just kind of bleed out perpetually until majors bounce. And obviously majors have given us a bounce over the last 2 days. And so has Trump. And I think it's telegraphing as well. Like the bounces that we've seen off these lows are telling you which altcoins are going to be the first assets to really move meaningfully, I think, off the lows.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking at things like Hype, obviously, Trump. I know we already talked about Popcat as well. But, you know, some of these altcoins that have put in massive bounces are probably more or less already bottomed. Even if they go on to make another low, they're going to start forming accumulation ranges in this vicinity.
Yeah, it's all about the area, right? I think people get too caught up in Pico sniping the top or Pico sniping the bottom, but it's all about the general area where you want to accumulate. Once you can get past trying to buy the absolute bottom, just a general area of where you want to accumulate, I think people will get a lot better at being able to accumulating lows, in my opinion.
I think buying the bottom and selling the top is a very clout driven. You know, it's always like motivated by clout more than anything. Like if you really want to call the top or the bottom, you're probably not going to make as much money if you're actively trying to do that. In my experience.
Damn, this is a big level. I didn't realize this is the level that Tel launched at too.
Looks like Litecoin.
It does. It looks a lot like Litecoin.
The Litecoin chart looks great, but man, I just can't bring myself to get bullish on it.
I think that's why I might have a hated rally because I feel like everyone feels the same way.
My only question is like, who's going to buy Litecoin other than maybe like built up shorts over the years? Because the founder doesn't have any incentive to pump the token anymore. He's completely out.
It's CTO.
We're going to CTO Litecoin.
Dude, pull up Litecoin real quick. Pull up Litecoin real quick.
I got the Coinbase chart. There we go.
I mean, dude, if it gets above like 135, it's gonna rocket, I think.
Oh yeah, this looks like Tel just did before it popped to the upside.
Yeah, if it gets above 135.
Oh, that's bullish. This is a bullish chart, guys. Look at that weekly hold.
Every time Litecoin pumps, man, I'm not going to say it, but
No, don't. No.
We were back testing. Me and Jackus were back testing this after market check a few days ago.
Unless we're in a bull market. Right? Because like look when it pumped here in January of 2021. Right? Or yeah. Start of 2021, Litecoin went on a nice run, and that was the start of the bull market.
Put your cursor over when it topped. When was that? May? Okay, go back again. Go left to the previous December. Okay, so that was the Pico top. So the first top it had was Luna, right? Or no?
No, this was the end of 2017 alt season.
No. Yeah, sorry. I meant the 21 cycle when it topped in May. That was like a lot of altcoins, like Doge did that too, right?
Yeah,
like
and then this was the second leg for alts.
Yeah.
Lower high.
Yeah.
In November. So, yeah, but I would agree. A lot of these pumps, like this pump here, I think was a local top for altcoins. This pump here, I think was a local top for altcoins. But if it's pumping and we're actually entering a bull market for altcoins, it's not a bearish signal anymore.
So, no, but I'm saying like
this thing really is just like an alt season oscillator, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it topped when altcoins topped, right? Like it didn't like pump and top like 2 months beforehand. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
When it tops, it's over.
Yeah, when it tops, it's over though. Yeah.
No, I remember Trader Main being super bulled up on Litecoin, and I'm like, hell yeah, bulled up on Litecoin. I didn't own any, but I remember in May of 2021, like people were expecting $1,000 Litecoin, and then whoosh, we all got wrecked on that.
I was expecting $1,000 Litecoin in 2017. It didn't happen.
Fair enough. It was the same price.
Yeah.
Litecoin in 2017. I had a buddy that bought Litecoin. I don't even remember why, but he bought it way lower, and he ended up, it was a very small amount, and he turned it into a significant amount. Obviously, it's like the crypto, the story about how everybody gets into crypto. He round tripped it because I think he was just like, well, I'm just gonna hold it at this point. But yeah, it's just a good reminder. Like normies are just so unfamiliar with the way this asset class works, so they will not sell.
Dude, that was my first crypto experience. Was I bought Litecoin at like $90 in 2017, and then it went to 400 something, and then I round tripped all 100% of it. Yeah.
What do you think of Bitcoin dominance here?
I mean, it's like what we've been saying. Technically speaking, it looks like it wants to pull back. I think it just remains to be seen whether or not it actually will. And if it does, to what degree. I will say on any time frame, I'm pretty skeptical that we get like the pullback to 40% on it. But I obviously think it can pull back at some point. A few weeks or a few months ago, we were kind of looking for that 50 level. We got 55.
Yeah, I think if we get a weekly down candle, like if this candle here closes anything like this or like even a little farther down, it's going to look like this. Like up candle, high wick rejection of your local high, back down inside, and then it's cooked, right? So similar to what the DXY was kind of doing, just on a different time frame. So good chance. If there's a chance, if any, it's here.
It's just calling top on Bitcoin dominance means calling bottom on ETH Bitcoin.
That's the
Yeah, that's
many men have died.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad weekly candle to start, right? It's not it's a start. Look what happens when you look what happens when you get a weekly, down candle with the big wick like this. Right? So there's one, here's one, here's one, So these weekly candlesticks do have weight behind them, right? Here's another one, but to the upside. Right? Here's one to the upside, literally called the top. So like this candle here looks like this candle here. Now you just need follow through for confirmation. So don't call it a comeback.
I just it's tough for me to think ETH's about to outperform Bitcoin with the current market structures, but I guess anything's possible in this market.
That is true. See, all right. So love and win. Highlight that comment. This is peak sentiment bottom. And when you guys highlight that, because I don't have access to do that.
Which one?
Love and win. At 12:22.
Oh, this one.
This is the rhetoric that creates bottoms. ETH is out. It's all about Sol now.
What does Sol ETH look like? Because I know we said it on this show a few times already, but I'm just kind of asking myself, how does Sol mindshare grow against Bitcoin and ETH from here? Like what would have to catalyze that? And I don't know. Like the president of the United States just launched a meme coin. How much better can it get for Sol, realistically speaking, than that? Exactly. I know there's a Sol ETF, but would you really say that a Solana ETF catalyst is bigger than the president launching a meme coin on your chain? At least from an attention standpoint? I don't know.
Yeah, no, this has been a grind too. Like trying to call top on this it's just been.
It was kind of like Bitcoin dominance. I kind of think that you can view it as like meme coin dominance in the same way. Not really quite the same, but just the focus is clearly more about, I think, on-chain assets and probably these smaller cap rotations than getting back into larger cap VC coins, DeFi coins, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe that's just kind of the regime. So in the same way, I don't want to call top on Bitcoin dominance. I don't really want to call top on Sol ETH, but I'm asking myself, like, how does Sol capture more mind share against ETH and Bitcoin from here? And I genuinely do not know.
I mean, does it have to outperform? Just given market cap,
it does. I think Sol Bitcoin though is probably topped.
You know what I mean, though, because like Sol is what, like a fifth of the market cap of ETH or something,
right? I think Sol Bitcoin is probably the better proxy to bet on, like relative mind share being topped. But
let's look at it. Let's look at Solana USD first of all.
Not that I'm like very bearish on memes over a long term. I'm actually pretty bullish on them. I think it will probably take some time before the next euphoria cycle on meme coins. But I mean, I think Sol BTC looks like it. Like I don't know. I mean, it looks like it's peaked to me. I don't know how Sol takes more mind share against Bitcoin than it has, unless meme coin super cycle rhetoric comes back, in which case maybe. But I think that is a narrative that's probably going to take some time. But I also don't think this looks just like ETH Bitcoin either. I'm not ready to say that it's exactly the same.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's above here, even though this does look distributive, this still can go. But you start doing something like this, slow bidding into here, something like this, then yeah, it's gonna start to look like ETH BTC. Yeah, the Sol will do well regardless. If we get the environment that we're looking for, Sol will do well, regardless of the pair chart.
I don't think it looks terrible.
In theory, if Bitcoin dominance is topped, this chart should continue higher. In theory, it wouldn't make sense for everything else to start outperforming Bitcoin, and the Sol just doesn't, unless there's seriously something underlyingly wrong with Sol, right? So that would be the only thing. Like there's like some black swan, but then if that happens to Sol, I feel like that would just crush the crypto market in the short term, anyways.
I'm more interested in playing Sol Beta, I think, than actually Sol. Picking which meme coins I think will come back has more attractiveness than trying to guess whether or not Sol is going to outperform Bitcoin and ETH. I have my obviously we can guess kind of based on context in the charts, but I do think like picking the meme coins that are going to come back and actually have a second cycle, because I'm assuming there will be a handful that do. That will be, in my opinion, where the alpha around Sol is going to be.
Trump?
Very well could be. Yeah. Now this comment's real. There is no floor for the Sol Beta until it finds one, right? I think I'm not advocating for catching knives, but I think if you see some reaccumulation ranges form on some of these things, that they could be worth buying. I'm talking more so like a pop cat than a whiff. I think it's going to remain a big disparity between the haves and the have-nots on chain on Solana. I think there will be a few winners, but most of the charts are not going to make all-time high ever again. But there will be a handful that do, probably some new memes as well over time.
37% on the day.
This is why we love altcoins, man.
Yeah. Sheesh, did you buy the Fear Anon? Don't think so. I don't think you did.
Big Louie did.
Yeah, I was doing some buying yesterday. I was doing some buying for sure. What are your thoughts on Coinbase? Crushed? Is this more probably based on positioning, right? Like crushed earnings, and now it's down like 7.5% on the day. Like,
well, they've aligned themselves with Ethereum, and we know how Ethereum has traded all cycle. Yeah. So my guess is probably around that. I know a few people have already kind of speculated similarly, so I'm not going to claim that that's my idea. But yeah, it's definitely strange. I don't really have any thoughts on the Coinbase chart necessarily, but
I mean, I think higher time frame it's bullish. But we can't really reject here, right? Like this kind of just has to be like okay, got overheated in the aftermarket for the earnings, flush the positioning, and then go, something like that. But
it's a bit like a mix between the Bitcoin and ETH structures.
Yeah, but
Like it made the new high like Bitcoin did. It didn't go quite as high, relatively speaking, as Bitcoin did, which I'm going to guess is probably because they've largely tethered themselves to ETH. But yeah, I would expect like some balance between those two is how coin is going to end up trading. I remember I was kind of looking for that low to be taken at 240. Maybe we get it, maybe we don't.
Yeah, I could see this being like a worst case, something like that. But I think this is going up. I think this goes to $600 plus.
I think it looks good. High time frame for sure.
Yeah, this looks like a launch pad. But yeah, we can run some local positioning here in the shorter term before that happens. But
it actually kind of looks a little bit like MSTR now that I'm taking a look at it.
Yeah, like before it ripped.
It looks like this consolidation on MSTR right now.
Oh, gotcha. That would make sense.
I mean, it's not quite the same, but I imagine they're going to trade very similarly. MSTR tethered itself to Bitcoin smartly.
I'll tell you what, though, if this doesn't break down soon and the bears can't push this down, this is gonna and it continues to hold this 1999.com era high, and it doesn't break down, this thing is gonna continue to send. Like
I'm an MSTR bull. I kind of think that we're gonna take that low out and then run it back to the highs with haste.
Yeah,
but
all right. I think
let's wrap things up. All right. Well, we appreciate you guys being here as always. Thank you for hitting the like button a little bit more today than over the last few days. I know we had to do a little bit of persuasion, but we appreciate you guys as always. So thanks for tuning in. If you are interested in joining the family, if you heard anything during today's show that piqued your interest, you're interested in learning more or hearing more from the analysts and our market commentary. After all, I mean, we're in our Discord pretty much not quite 24/7, but it almost feels like it sometimes. But yeah, come check out our premium Discord. You can get exclusive access to the analysts where we post at times our positioning, always our alpha. And of course, we also have 4 or 5 calls, or 4 or 5 calls. What am I saying? 4 or 5 hours of calls every single day where we give you guys our intimate thoughts on the market at the opening bell and closing bell of the New York Stock Exchange. So check out our premium Discord, as well as something that we have packaged with it. We were nice enough to give you the opportunity to get it for a discounted rate as well. That is the BB Terminal, guys. That is your go-to tool for the cycle, whether or not you are a lower time frame and active trader, whether or not you are a long-term investor looking for data to help you make more educated long-term decisions. And of course, soon for our on-chainers as well, we will have the go-to tool for you. So check out the BB Terminal, guys. I can't guarantee that it will be retailing for this price forever. Like I have always said, we continue to build out functionality and utility for the BB Terminal pretty much every single day. So pounce on it while you still can at these prices. Of course, if you are looking to hone your educational base or even reach trading level mastery, we have a course for you as well, guys. Check out the BB Academy. Learn from the entire team, how they trade, analyze, and approach markets. Lastly, but certainly not least, maybe this volatility in markets has been too much to stomach, and maybe you have too much trouble picking winners when the market is picking back up. Well, we have the opportunity for the team to manage money for you as well, assuming you qualify. And a reminder that we trade digital assets in a way that looks to capture their asymmetric history for upside returns while also balancing the downside risk posed in any financial market. So if anything that I just said over the last 90 seconds resonated with you, you want more information, reach out to us. We've got more information in the description below. We'd be happy to get back to you as quickly as we can. But yeah, that concludes today's show, guys. We appreciate you all for being here. Market Check will be back for another episode. Not tomorrow, but Monday, Monday morning. Typical start time around 11:15.
Wait, Tommy, I don't think so.
Oh, are markets closed on Monday?
Yes.
Equities are, so yeah.
So yeah,
Well, then
gotta
we will
make a
be back
decision.
on Tuesday.
Yeah.
We will see you guys in a few days on Tuesday, 11 a.m., 11:15
Ooh,
Eastern Standard
3-day
Time.
altcoin weekend. Let's get it.
Louis getting giddy, but
I know, it's bad.
make sure to finish your week checking out Market Talk with King Wabi. That will be in a Twitter space. I call it Twitter, sometimes X. I'll go back and forth. But follow his account as well as the Because Bitcoin X account so you can be notified, not just when we schedule those spaces, but of course, also when we go live. That's it from us, though. We hope that you all had a great week. I'm praying that we get some clarity within the next week so that I don't have to talk about chopping price action for, for the shows next week. But until then, guys, thank you for tuning in as always. And of course, stay safe.
Hold up, let me find the button.